Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Today, another garage focused video. This time, we're putting in these Swisstrax garage tile. See here. Cool thing about them is you can go ahead and go on their website, order up patterns or whatever you want if you want to get fancy. I just went with super basic, light gray, black, checkered tile. And you see here, they have these little snaps on the end. They just line up with another tile, and then you can just snap them into place. They also cut very easily, at least that's what they say. You can use a jigsaw or a miter saw or a table saw, cut them to fit. And I'm keeping it super basic. And yeah, I'll go ahead and show you what I plan on putting this tile down. I'm not doing the whole garage, just because I plan on having some welding equipment, grinding equipment. I'm not sure how this will hold up with sparks or, you know, any kind of liquid slag or anything. Any kind of melted metal may burn holes through this, and I didn't want to deal with that. Plus, you know, my wife's side of the garage is kind of over on one end, and she doesn't need the fancy tiles. She could just have the bare cement. Mostly I just wanted this so I could crawl underneath my cars with the quick jack and won't get covered in the cement dust and whatnot. This should actually keep me relatively clean. Here is the garage with all of my junk in the way. And really I plan on going until I believe the edge of this workbench. You can see the leg right down here, or this table. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go to here or a little bit past, and pretty much just do the 2-car garage portion of my garage and the workbench and everything, where I'll be doing maybe some welding over here is gonna be bare cement. Plus my wife does a lot of painting and kind of furniture restoration type stuff. So I figured I'll just go all the way back. Of course, I'm going just to the garage lip right here. I'm not gonna go, of course, above it. And my plan is to kind of take it to a nice sharp point here. And then I'm gonna use red edge. They have like an edge transition. I'm gonna run it all the way down there. And then for over here, we're gonna run it to about 6 inches in. They say you don't want it right at the edge here. And my garage does dip down as well. I have a lip here, so I can't do it flush with the garage door, which I believe what a lot of the installs do. So I'll do about 6 inches in and also do the transition. And then I'll go all the way to the wall underneath my shelving units over here. So that unfortunately means I'm gonna have to pull everything off my shelves, move it into my yard, get my car out of the way, get the van out of the way, stack all this stuff in here. A lot of these boxes over here are the Swisstrax tiles. There's a ton of it, a ton of tiles. I think like 10 boxes worth, you know, over here as well as one. And so I'm gonna move all this out into the driveway, kind of scattered everywhere. And then we're gonna go ahead and get the table saw set up out there. I'm gonna swap on a specific plastic cutting blade, which is supposed to give you smoother cuts for plastic type thing. I'm hoping I don't have to do any kind of cuts other than for potentially against the wall over here and then against the lip here. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna shuffle this stuff out of here and make some room. No car in the garage, definitely frees up a good amount of space. I'm going to have to remove pretty much from the lip in my garage here, the step up into the home portion. So all these shelves and all this stuff over here is gonna have to go out into the driveway. And then all my boxes over here, which is mostly Swisstrax. And I got some True Grid, which is gonna be for some exterior driveway extension stuff, and some car parts. I'm gonna have to shuffle out into the driveway, clear out this whole area, and then we can get started on laying down the Swisstrax tile. Real quick diagram of kind of what I'm going for here. Kind of see it here, but yeah, as you can see with the garage, Perhaps right here, it's going to be the transition using this kind of red transition piece. I believe I'm going to have to be about 6 inches inward, and then I'm going to run the tile here, checkered pattern, the light gray and black, and it's going to go up against the wall here, and this is going to go all the way over here, and then end right before, off camera here, right before the actual workbench, transition piece here, all the way back to the lip here. And then according to at least the little chart here, it should be completely even. I should only need to cut, it looks like, at the back lip. So I have my table saw over here, ready to go, hooked up to my vacuum cleaner thing to suck up any kind of debris as I cut. I'm gonna go ahead and swap the blades out and put the plastic blade in, and then we're gonna get started actually laying down these tiles. Here's the blade I'm gonna go with. It's non-ferrous. It says it's a carbide, but it's good for laminate, fiberglass, PVC, and a number of other things. Hopefully this cuts the tile cleanly, and I guess we'll kind of see. And then once I start actually putting the tiles down, they all use this kind of loop and latch mechanism that I kind of showed earlier, where it just snaps into place like that. And I also picked up, I'll put a link for it, this little device. So for later on, if you want to pull tile, I guess it just kind of punches through or something like that. I don't know, it's kind of hard to do when you stand it up. But anyways, it goes through and you can actually yank tiles out midway through, if you need to get below it to do the vacuum up anything that may have fallen underneath the tile itself, because these are completely open. So you can get any kind of dust, debris, bugs, whatever will fall below this. You don't have to worry about it until it builds up into a point where you want to start popping these tiles out and doing some vacuuming or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap the blade out, and then we're gonna get started on this. All right, saw blade has been swapped out. Hopefully it cuts this stuff good. I'm gonna start off with black in the front, work my way over. The last tile going this way to my door should be gray. And then, like I said, I'm gonna leave about 6 inches back from the thing, so I'm not driving over the lip into my garage. You don't wanna go directly onto this immediately, because it could actually pull the tile upward. That's why you want a little bit of a leeway. And I'm gonna start against the wall, flush with the wall, go all the way over here, and it should stop right before my workbench. And of course I'm gonna have to maneuver around here. I'm gonna put it on time lapse so it kind of zips through there. And yeah, we're gonna get this floor down. Hopefully it goes smooth, and hopefully this blade cuts everything good. And it's not too much of a hassle. The hardest part is probably getting all the crap out of the garage and then getting all the crap back in. So let's go. Floor is 95% complete. I did run into a few snags. I'll swing around the camera here in a minute, but I'm short 2 tiles. I did have, when I was cutting with my table saw, one of the tiles chipped. I guess it hit just right on one of the transition gaps and broke a little chunk off. So I was like, okay, I just tossed that one, figured I had some extra tiles, cut another one, and turns out they gave me the exact amount of tiles that you need to finish the project with 0 mistakes. And I don't know, not really a mistake, just it happened to be, I chipped the tile and then another tile cut a little bit too short. My table saw slid a little bit. And so yeah, I ended up having to cut 2 more tiles to fit up on the lip on my garage. And that was enough for me to be short 2 tiles up in the front. Not a huge deal because I don't drive over there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and order the 2 missing tiles. And my other hang up was they gave me 15 transition pieces, I believe it was, that snapped downward onto the tile with the loops on the outside. So it would snap on, and 15 that would then have the tile snap onto them from the underside. Well, the way I put down the floor is all of my tiles need the snap downward transition pieces. And so I'm short the whole transition side that splits my 2-car and my 3-car garage over by my workbench. So I'm gonna have to order some, I think 15 more transition pieces that snap downwards. And other than that, the tile went down super easy. No big issues. I did initially lay the tile down, which I'll show when I actually, which you would have actually seen in my install thing, where I actually was laying down the tiles this way. And it turns out that it just wasn't going down how I needed to do the transition and the transition on the other side. So I had to rip those up super easy. They snap right apart. And I actually went this way to the end back here. And then I was able to take measurements to see how thick of a tile I need to cut. So I know the back tile thickness or width. And then I cut that and then I started working from the back forward the whole way through, from this side to this side. Went down super easy. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the camera, I'm gonna swing by, we'll take a look at some of this stuff, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we are at my 2 missing tiles. So like I said, I'm gonna order these. And then this is what I'm talking about with the transition piece. So there's 2 versions. There's one that you need the edge of the tile to be right here without the little hooks. And these will actually be the pegs. And then the pegs would then lift up and snap into the transition piece. Unfortunately, all of my edges, the way I laid the tile down, has the loops. And so, pop this off. As you can see here, you need the post version of the transition pieces to snap into here. And the one thing I did want to note is I was hopeful that the way the tile, the transition pieces, you could do them 50-50. So they would lock the seams together, but just the way the loops are, since there's a loop here and a loop here, a small gap, these are evenly spaced. They can only go directly on the tile. So, you know, kind of would have been nice to be able to offset the transition pieces to give you a little bit more stability between the tile that are snapped together versus just, you know, lining up in a straight row. If you knock this out, you can rip out a whole row. This could have given it just a little extra durability, I guess, if you're riding up on these tiles. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and save these, I guess, for a rainy day. And I'm gonna order, see here, I'm missing this whole row of transition pieces. And another thing I did notice, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun here. This is where my wood top workbench is. Most likely I'm just gonna run the transition piece. I'm gonna cut it or notch it, probably cut it and just run it to here. Cut this whole piece out, then run the rest of it to here, cut another little piece out, just so I don't have to worry about it. And so I'm gonna order a couple extra transition pieces so I can just play around with how I'm gonna cut these out. Maybe just use a jigsaw or something. And because I don't really think this can sit on the transition piece. It will make my table unstable. Here we go with the cuts up to the lip. The jigsaw worked super good. Or not the jigsaw, but the table saw worked very nice. I was able to get pretty good clean cuts. And so it worked out pretty good with the plastic blade, other than the one chipped tile that I ran into. And overall it cut super clean. You can see here, I mean, look at that. Had some slag that you're gonna have to then, you know, scrape off. I pretty much was able to just pull it off with my hand, and there was no issue. Just pulling the slag off before I went and installed it. But I do have a number of extra tile pieces. Unfortunately, not enough or no full tiles to finish the floor. So here's the slag I was talking about. Not bad. I'm sure you'd get much worse cuts if you didn't use the appropriate blade. Unfortunately, this is not Swisstrax. This is a true grid for the outside. But yeah, overall, floor looks great. I love the checkered look, giving me kind of that old school vibe. And I think it'll look even better once I get this side done. And I'm probably still going to stick with the red transition here, just to make it obvious when you're about to step off the transition. But the actual depth here, it's not super thick, and the floor does not slide around on me. I haven't driven the car on it yet, but I don't think it'll move very well. And as you can notice, I mentioned I give about 6 or 7 inches between the tile and then the lip here, which is a pretty good drop off, just so the tire would have a little bit of grip here before it hits the transition and has less chance of spitting out the tile or ripping any of the connection pieces. Here we go with my Viper chair. You can see no issue sliding across this flooring. It's super smooth. There's a couple different versions. This is the one that's got the smoother texture, not the, I guess not with the bigger gaps and stuff. I was worried it'd be losing tools or something into the other version. This one I can drop, most hardware won't go in there, maybe some washers, but not a big deal. And I did end up getting this little tool, and you may have seen in my time-lapse video, I did pop one of these out and replace it. That's the one that chipped, and just looking at it, I didn't like how it looked with the chunk missing. And this works pretty good, but keep a note, it is a little bit thicker on these version of the tile than the tile itself. So if you punch this through, you actually will gouge it a little bit. And let me show you what I'm talking about here. So if you have the tile down there, just take this tool and you push it through, and then you can pop the tile back out. But then if you take a look here, it does damage it a little bit. So keep that in mind if you're using it with this thing. It'd be nice if they made maybe a slightly thinner version. I might just grind this down a little bit so it can blade in here without damaging it when I do need to pull these out off the floor to clean underneath or anything like that. So anyways, that will wrap this one up. Just keep an eye out for I'll have a real quick, probably a short mini wrap up video on the floor once I do finish this edge here. And yeah, overall, I think it looks good. Hopefully I can not crawl underneath my car with my quick jack and not get covered in cement dust or whatever. And it just kind of ruined working on the car, just being covered. I'd have to just put on random clothes and hope for the best. So anyways, thanks for sticking around. Hope you guys found the video informative, and check out the links in the description. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I got tons more videos coming, so stay tuned. Peace.